We're rolling.
What? Come on! Rolling.
Welcome back to the KIFCAST, Dustin.
Hey, thanks, Jason. Welcome back to the KIFCAST, Jason.
Thank you. First time here. It's a beautiful place. Beautiful place. I love what you've done with this place.
Yeah, thanks. I've put a lot of hard work into this.
Have you subscribed yet to the KIFCAST?
You know what? I have.
Have you followed it on Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon Music, and YouTube?
I'm a huge streaming platform person, and I have subscribed on all of those platforms.
All streaming platforms. What about Paramount, Disney Plus, and Netflix?
I don't have ESPN. That's part of Disney Plus, isn't it?
I have no idea. I also don't have that. Anyways, welcome back to the KIFCAST. It is, I don't even know what episode we're on now, but we're back with another KIFCAST conversation. And today's episode, wait, should I do the Chat GPT intro?
Yeah. Do you have it already teed up?
Frick no.
Oh, well then no.
All right, we won't do that. There was a
no.
Chat GPT intro that I was going to do kind of as a joke, but also today's episode is not such a joke after all, is it, Dustin?
Very serious. We like to get serious here on the KIFCast from time to time.
The KIFCast is not a joke.
KIFCast Studio. I'm going to make that thing, dude. I'm telling you.
We'll get it figured out. Anyways, today is another KIFCast conversation, in case I didn't say that enough. If you're tuning in, as always, thank you so much for giving us the time of day. We're still new to this, still trying to dial everything in, and we're just hoping you love what we have going on, and maybe you giggle a little bit with us. But today, what are we going to talk about?
Oh, dude, it's a good one. We're talking about mindsets.
Mindsets.
We've had this conversation just between the two of us a lot, in different variations of it. But yeah, this is kind of a big topic that I know I've been wanting to talk about for a while.
Yeah, I love the hell out of the conversations we've had on the road, on walks, whatever it is. But
long walks on the beach.
Walks on the beach. I feel like this is sometimes when you're walking, I don't know, man. But anyways, when we're traveling, when you spend a lot of time with people, you dive into some pretty deep stuff. And sometimes those conversations include your mindset.
Yeah. Yeah, which is huge. And I know in that episode we did with Duke, he briefly touched on mindset stuff and kind of where he sits in the whole the mindset space, which I thought was a great kind of segue into this episode here.
Yeah, I agree completely. I know he has a very, I think him and I have a lot of concepts that we that run parallel to each other. And it's really rad. And like you said, I think this is a perfect time to kind of dive into that, give our thoughts, give how we feel about certain things. And so I guess to kind of reference Duke, pardon the quick delay, I had to fix this mic stand. But I guess to reference Duke, he kind of has this whole, spiritual / energy vibe thing going on. The law of attraction, I guess, if you will, what you put into the earth and the energy you put out is what you get back. And
what you give is what you get.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is a huge saying that can obviously be referenced back to a lot.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's definitely, a lot of, it's definitely how I kind of view life, or a lot of situations, certainly. I also kind of mentioned on that episode, it's been this journey. It feels like it's been a long time, kind of figuring that stuff out. But like I said, I kind of feel the same way. I think energy is a huge thing. I think the law of attraction, to put it simply, is a beautiful thing and a beautiful idea. So yeah, I know you had a couple really cool ideas and cool thoughts on that when we had talked after Duke's episode.
Playing sports, playing hockey, growing up playing as a goalie, it's a lot of it's a mental game, especially just the position itself. But I think that applies to almost all sports to some varying degree. And the really cool thing about playing sports to whatever capacity is, I think you can learn a lot of life lessons through playing sports. And there's a lot of little tricks, mental tricks that I've used over the years of playing hockey that I've really been able to apply to life. And it's been so beneficial.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, be cool to kind of like share some of that stuff.
So as you mentioned, we both come from sport backgrounds. I
Mm-hmm.
come from an action sports world. You come from a hockey background and a brief stint in basketball, as we learned from your
Basketball.
episode.
Quick little stint.
What do you think in your hockey journey, which continues today, is one of the most important lessons you've learned to kind of keep your cool or, just in the mindset world?
There's honestly so much, and the cool thing about it is that I'm still learning new things even today. Like a big one that I've been kind of diving into over the last couple years is how to like manage expectations and like, you know, going into a certain situation and, not expecting too much, but not expecting a little, but also framing expectations in a way that you can walk out successful. So like before I go play hockey, I kind of have my set of expectations for myself. And it's almost like a reoccurring phrase that I say to myself, especially if I'm going into a game where like I'm nervous. Or,
Of course.
Going to a Preds practice where it's like, oh, this is like a high level situation I'm going into. But my expectations are number one, that I'm going to get scored on. Because, once you take that away, it's like, oh, well, I'm a goalie. This is how the game works.
Yep.
I'm a position that involves the game progressing, and you have to score goals to win games, and that's just a part of the game. But once you take that away, you can kind of focus on everything else. So I do expect to get scored on, but as a goalie, I also expect to make saves. So making saves is obviously a big deal, but like they feel nice. Like it's that, like you get that reward system kicking in.
Of course.
But I also expect to work hard. So if I go into a situation, I expect to work hard. It's like good things come from it. But the biggest one, and I save it for last, is I expect to have fun. And when I'm having fun, that's when I'm playing my best. And again, referencing that Duke episode, like if you're doing what you love, like good things will come from it. So like
Big time.
I don't say like, oh, I expect to win, because if you end up losing the game, which is just part of playing a sport, like you walk out of it with such a negative experience.
Yep.
And like planting those good seeds, and like good things will come from it.
Yeah, just setting yourself up for failure if it's always just
Right.
the extreme, I guess. So what is this? I know you had something that you had written down on our messages, the parasympathetic versus sympathetic nervous system.
dude.
Let's just dive right into that.
Yes, I actually love that. This is another thing that I've been getting into recently. And
Yeah.
the parasympathetic nervous system is that like feed and breed. It's like you're in that calm state.
Yep.
And when you think about like on an animalistic level, like feed and breed is like kind of a vulnerable state.
Yep.
So like you're calm, you're relaxed, you're nice and easy. And then the sympathetic nervous system, I hope I'm getting that right, not getting mixed up, but that's the opposite. That's the fight or flight. That's like, instincts are kicking in, maybe anxious, maybe a little nervous or something like that. But through meditation and like breathing exercises, you can snap into that parasympathetic nervous system and calm yourself down and really kind of like bring yourself into the moment. And being present in the exact moment is like where you want to be. Because like you start stretching out into the future and you start stressing about like things that haven't happened yet, start getting into anxiety.
Yep.
But like you start dwelling on the past and start worrying about things that had happened in the past, that's you kind of start getting into a little bit of that like depression state.
For sure.
So when you're in the moment and you're in the present, like, dude, beautiful things happen. So I've even started using that when I'm playing. Like I just had a men's league championship game. You start getting that self-doubt and you start like, oh no, like what if X happens, or
For sure.
oh, I just got scored on and I'm thinking about it, but I focus on my breathing, and you kind of like bring yourself back to center and back to the present.
That's what I was going to ask you, if there's like a specific moment playing that you could pinpoint that kind of references that, tapping into a flow state, if you will, almost to where,
dude, flow state is a whole another beautiful
yeah, I feel like it kind of plays off that though, right? Is like there's this state of meditative state, if you will, or calming state. And when you said that, it kind of sparked the idea, and I guess the word flow state is kind of like a buzzword,
I'm
or
so
like an
glad you said that, because
oversimplification.
I love flow.
But I guess my question is, because I know BMX for me, especially the last few years of me riding a lot back home in Colorado, largely became that, where it was when I went out to session, it wasn't to try new tricks or even do a lot of the tricks. It was to just flow around and cruise and soul surf and enjoy a sunset, pop in my music and not talk to the world. And
Yeah.
it was my escape.
Oh yeah.
Right. So I guess in my head, or I guess my question would be, is there times where you feel like you're playing insane, like stylistically feeling well, nothing matters when someone's coming at you, and maybe, I don't know, maybe you do make all the saves and you get done and you just feel like an absolute king, even if it is just
Dude.
like a rec game,
Yeah.
I guess, you know?
Oh, dude, like just the subject of flow state, because like just being in that state of flow where, for me personally, it's like everything is just automatic. I'm not thinking about the next thing that I'm going to be doing. Everything is just happening in front of me, and it's this crazy like mental state where it's just like there's been times where I'm like I could do anything, and it's just gonna like work out. Like I'm making saves that like I'm making them easy, and I'm focused, and I'm dialed, and and just so locked in the moment. But I think flow state can be applied to literally anything. Like, I mean, even like sitting in a podcast situation like this, you get caught up in a conversation and a conversation just flows naturally, or even like you're working and you're caught in this flow state where like you're just running through and knocking things out, just like feeling really good. And by the end of it, it's like, whoa, that was crazy.
Yeah. From a productivity standpoint, it's a beautiful thing, huh? Especially in the worlds that we're currently in. For me, it could be editing these podcast episodes or vlogs, but when you get almost just hyper focused on it, but in a very pleasant way, nothing matters. The world, maybe it is beautiful out and you want to be outside shooting hoops or going for a run or riding your bike, but I don't know. It is a beautiful thing for sure. Yeah, I love that.
I mean, like even just on the subject of productivity, I did see this thing recently that said procrastination isn't poor time management, it's poor mood management. And another great saying that I've learned through playing sports is controlling the controllables, and you can control your attitude and you can control your mood. So like when it comes to procrastination, it's just like, I'm talking to myself here. It's like you're avoiding a task that you don't want to do because it's, whether it's too big or it's just like you're not really feeling it. Like, of course, you're not going to want to do it. So you're going to procrastinate, and then your brain like really focusing on this reward system. Like it's almost like you're being rewarded for not doing the task because you're avoiding that negative feeling. But I thought it was really interesting that procrastination is more of a feeling thing. It's not like, oh, I'm lazy and I just don't have it in me to do it. And like, very negative thing, but it's like, oh, if you can change the mood and attitude toward a task being productive, you can change, this whole being, the whole procrastination thing.
For sure. So controlling the controllables. That's another interesting topic.
Such a huge phrase that I love to come back to.
Yeah. Is that another thing from hockey specifically?
Absolutely, yeah.
From a coach or what?
Yeah, I've heard it from multiple coaches, and it's just kind of a common reference or a common phrase that coaches use to tell their goalies. Like, it's such a position where so many different things happen. Just the sport of hockey in general, anything can happen.
For sure.
And like, if you go and beat yourself up for letting in a goal that like you had no control over, the puck hitting your defenseman's skate and then off another guy's stick and bouncing around and ends up in the net. It's like you couldn't control that. So like, it's just a good way to take the pressure off yourself, but it also applies to life too, where it's like you can't control people around you and certain things that happen. But you can control what you can control, which is a lot of things within yourself.
Big time, big time. I freaking love that, man. And kind of to play off, there was something you mentioned a second ago about energy again, and I guess putting in X and getting out X.
Oh yeah.
With that and with hockey and stuff, and man, just to kind of reference Duke's episode again, and I guess that's what it was. You mentioned something about planting seeds.
Yep.
And Duke's whole reference was, it doesn't matter what you put in, right? So you can plant poison
said
ivy.
that?
You can,
Yes.
yeah, it doesn't matter what you can
got
plant
so
poison
excited about
ivy. You can plant flowers. You can plant, he said, a weed, cocaine. It doesn't
Yeah,
matter,
right.
you know? So whatever you put in, you're going to get out. And then that goes for your brain, right? And what you're telling yourself, which is like affirmations to yourself,
Yeah.
positive, negative, it doesn't matter. So I don't know. I think at the end of the day, a lot of stuff for me just comes down to that. And sometimes you have bad days, right? Sometimes you don't have the best day ever. And sometimes you have that day where, you know, you have that perfect flow state and you're like, why can't I channel this and do this every single day of my life? Edit 6 podcasts, like full length podcasts and,
So
and
much
whatever.
work.
Yeah. Why can't I do that today? Or why can't I ride my bike like that every day? But I think that's like the magic of those moments as well, you know?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And I guess my point with that is putting in. I don't know what happens those days, man. I really don't.
Well,
You wake up and you're just like hyper. You're just like a psychopath.
Yeah.
You get work done.
Oh, yeah.
And I guess that's another thing I'm really trying to learn, because I had one of those days this past Saturday where I did so much, and I worked for like 12 hours straight on my computer. Didn't care what was happening outside. Didn't care what anyone else was
in
doing.
that flow state.
Just went crazy and edited so much stuff. And it felt so good.
Yeah.
I was like, I think I'm going to wake up tomorrow and do the same thing. And I worked for a bit, but it was drastically different for sure. So, yeah, I guess.
I think a big thing, again, this is another thing that I've been learning recently, is like it's okay to not have good days.
For sure.
Like not every day is going to be a good day, like you said earlier. And, you know, some days you really are just like avoiding things. Some days you really are just not productive. But just a big thing, again, that I've been really like kind of focusing on is like allowing myself to like feel certain feelings.
Yep.
Or like be in a certain state, whether it is like, there's times where it's like I want to be doing all these things and things that I need to be getting done. It's like I'm just not in the right space for it. It's like it is what it is.
Yep.
Kind of have to accept it sometimes. Like, and again, just keeps referencing back to sports. Like there's days where I just don't have it.
Yep.
And like you get so frustrated and angry and you like want to be, you want to have it. You want to be on top. But it's like some days like you just have to accept the fact like this ain't it. This ain't the day. This isn't the day we're going to like just kind of take an L for the day and just turn the page the next day and come at it with a different mindset the next day.
Yeah, new perspective. That's super important, man. Yeah, I know there's days with bike riding, even if something didn't feel the way I wanted it to, or a trick didn't work the way I wanted it to, freaking pick my bike up and throw it, or whip my helmet against the wall, or chuck it into the bowl or something. But yeah, being in the present. Ooh, I know you touched on that.
Yeah, being in the moment is so huge.
So
like again, kind of going back to like meditation, and like the parasympathetic nervous system and the sympathetic nervous system. I had seen somewhere that like Navy SEALs use box breaths as a technique to like help center themselves and be in the moment. And like that's another thing that I've been trying to work on, like get into some meditation stuff, because like I don't know, like it's new to me. I don't know much about like what am I doing it right? Am I doing it wrong? Whatever.
Totally.
But just kind of being in the moment, being present. Like I said, that's where the magic happens.
Dude, it's a beautiful thing when you recenter yourself after getting kind of lost in, oh, what's going to happen in tomorrow? What's going to happen in 10 minutes? Or I get myself wrapped up in that a lot. Or maybe even worrying about yesterday, which is a whole nother dangerous thing, because you can't change that.
No,
that shit's gone.
It's gone.
It's not coming back.
Yeah, and it kind of goes back to the controllables, because it's like you can't control what happened. It's done.
Big time. I find myself doing that quite a bit, and the future stuff obviously makes you anxious. But when you can recenter and you can tell yourself, focus on what you're doing, editing this video right now, riding your bike, shooting hoops, traveling, working on your day-to-day job. Oh man, it goes back to what I was saying earlier. It helps you, zoom in and hyper focus or whatever it needs to be, but that is huge. And I think kind of another point you had written down on your notes, which references, they all kind of work together, right? Or they definitely work together. guess that's what we're talking about. But, you know, the power of a smile, when you
my
put that
God,
in,
dude.
there was this whole, you know, the gears started turning. So I have like thoughts on that, but to reference all of those things, you know, just turning on a smile when you're having a bad day, or maybe
Yeah.
you're thinking about yesterday and it's, you know, freaking you out a little bit.
Yep.
Is smile up
Oh,
and
dude, just
trick yourself into
there
thinking it's
really
good.
is like power within a smile, and even like, you know, just taking a big deep breath and just like, again, like kind of getting yourself into the present, but throwing a smile on your face. And we looked it up. I think it was yesterday. Like when you smile, just the muscles that you use to smile releases endorphins
Yep.
and gives you that dopamine release. And because your brain works on such a reward system, it feels that reward. It's like, oh, we're smiling, and whatever moment we're in right now must be a good thing. So we pump more good. So
Yep.
like, you know, I don't know about how I feel about the phrase like fake it till you make it, because it's like, yeah, you're smiling. You might not be in a situation where you should be smiling, but you are. So it's like, sure, you're faking the smile, but like you are doing it
Yep.
and you are making it, like you're making it happen. And yeah, just the power of a smile like can really just help turn things around, just be that extra little something.
So you're saying you think you can trick your brain
You
into believing that your day to day 9 to 5 is fun and enjoyable.
Absolutely. Yes, 1,000,000%.
I agree with you completely, man. I agree with you
Like
completely.
I feel like almost any situation in general, even like I don't know, you go to a party and it's like, oh, I don't know anybody here. You start getting kind of nervous about it. You start kind of worrying, but it's like you
Yep.
send yourself, throw a smile on your face, and you trick yourself into enjoying the time that you're having. Or
For
like
sure.
everything's just like falling down around you. And if you're just like smile, you're like, "Pff, this is crazy.
Yeah.
And it's crazy. You're just like, yeah, it's crazy. You just accept what it is and throw a smile on your face and try to have fun.
Huck and pray.
Huck and pray.
No, I love that, man. I think it's important, and I think, I, kind of what you were saying. That I was thinking, like, when we're traveling and we're giggling and smiling so much, of course, there's amazing things happening. You're in new places and having fun and enjoying shit. But I almost wonder too if, from like a drug standpoint, if your body, obviously, when you're releasing all these chemicals into your body, it's no different than, what is it, like a drug that does that.
100%.
And
Absolutely.
so I wonder if your body just, you know, it becomes addicted to smiling, and that's how your body becomes addicted to these new experiences and so on.
Oh, yeah.
The funnel effect.
Yeah. And I'm not like a brain expert, but it's like,
Yeah, we might have to get like Huberman on here or something.
yeah, right. But I think the same goes for the opposite. Like you start planting those negative seeds in your brain, works on that reward system, and it's
Of
like
course.
X happens. This is the reaction that you're showing your brain happens. And in order to protect, the brain wants to protect you at all times. So it's like, oh, like this thing's happening. We want to run. We want to like cower away. We want to feel these feelings. But like when you're showing the brain X happens, positive happens, the brain keeps
Yep.
rewarding itself.
Positive feedback loop.
Oh, yeah.
I love it. I had in our notes the growth mindset.
Okay, yeah. What is that?
The growth mindset. It's basically just the idea of embracing all ideas, good, bad. I have the good, bad, and the rad. Good, bad, the ugly, whatever you want to say, whatever you
I'm
want
gonna be
to.
honest, I've never heard that saying, and I love that, dude.
The good, the bad, and the rad. So,
Yes, dude.
I mean, it to put it, probably to oversimplify, like most things I'll probably do on here, because most of my ideas are internalized. I haven't put many
Yeah.
of them out into the world.
Yeah.
But to put it simply, it's the idea of opening yourself to any ideas and not closing doors on someone's process, someone's thought process, someone's idea on politics, someone's idea on religion, someone's idea of how they move through their day-to-day life.
Yeah.
You know, just because I have built my version of what life is and what I think it should be for me, doesn't mean I should close the door on someone who works a 9 to 5 in an office in the middle of the city, who deals with traffic every morning.
Oh, dude.
You know, so
Yeah.
like, yeah, it might sound shitty to me, but I think the growth mindset allows you to, I don't know, embrace all those things.
I
And
love that.
even, I think more importantly, It's like I've had a lot of these conversations with some of my closest friends, who I really hope we can have on the podcast. But even like extreme ideas, and some people you can't have those conversations with because certainly it can be, there's this line. But at least being open to conversation. And I think it allows you to love what you're doing. I'm like looking at my things, and it allows for interests that can blossom into abilities.
Yeah.
I'm just like reading this thing right now.
Oh, I love it.
So it allows you to love what you're doing in the moment, helps you. And I think when you're like excited to learn just about humans and what they have going on, I don't know, just allows you to grow. Exactly.
As a person. Yeah.
Exactly.
And, I mean, like, everyone loves a good conspiracy theory.
Yeah.
Like it's a fun conversation to have, but that kind of goes into ideology stuff that people get very passionate about.
Of course.
And when you kind of open yourself up to it, you're like, yeah, this is interesting. We can talk about it.
Yeah.
There's definitely, like you just said, there's that line where it kind of goes from a fun conversation to like, this is the hardcore belief. But like when you're open to it, it's like, okay, like that's interesting. And I can take your points and, hear what you're saying, which at the end of the day, people just want to be heard.
For sure.
But, maybe take some bits and pieces that you like or stuff that like you don't like, and being able to, I think with that whole concept, like also having your own boundaries set that like, I know my core values, I know what I like, but being
100%.
open to all these things too and able to hear them with an open ear is so valuable.
Yeah, big time. And I think it's like super simple in my head to listen to people talk about whatever and not take a stand, like a yes or no stand, a black and white stand, if you will, because there's so much gray area in the world as it is with every topic, I think. But when you're listening to your point, when you're listening to people, you don't have to be like, this is like, you're wrong because this. Even if you disagree with people, it's so easy to just be like, yeah, man, for sure. Or just, just listen. And you don't even have to agree, but just to, I don't know. It's just an interesting,
it's an interesting
space for sure.
And yeah, well, like I said, people just want to be heard too, but like, it's okay to be different, to have differences. And
for sure.
I'm sure a lot of families have had political conversations. I'm sure they maybe even gotten heated, but at the end of the day, like being able to accept the other person and just understand like this is where they stand and that's okay. This is where I stand and that's also okay.
For sure. Yeah. I think we all, and I also think it's very human for everyone to have like, nah, I disagree with this person or to have opinions. And I think, it kind of goes along with the bad day thing where it's like, there's specific topics where you're very stern on or you don't want to talk about because you don't want to express to X to a certain person because you know how they feel. Whatever. There's certain topics to you in your core values, in your soul that are off limits, and that's fine. But I think generally speaking, if you are trying to speak to someone or you are trying to hear someone out or you are just trying to learn about another human for a human experience, I think it's so easy to do.
Absolutely.
And so I think that's it. The growth mindset. It's all about embracing new ideas, all ideas. Maybe they're not so new, but a new perspective on maybe an idea you have. Being grateful for those things. Gratitude's a freaking beautiful thing.
Beauty.
And yeah,
I love that. I mean, even just you talk about experiencing other cultures and I mean, like imagine going to a new country, like a place where English isn't the primary language and there's like whole different cultural experiences, but like being so closed off because it's like, no, like I don't speak your language and I don't understand what you got going on here. But like there's so much that you can experience if you're just open.
That's the whole, that's like a beautiful example of that. You know? I have a few friends who we've traveled for bike events, went down to Mexico. Specifically remember this one. But went down to Mexico and, they were just not stoked on anything because they couldn't get their point across and so on. And I just remember this like very vividly and we were all just like a little embarrassed because like, man, you really want to be that guy right now? Like, we're here. We're enjoying their stuff and their culture and their food and the way they live. But yeah, not to throw anyone under the bus, but that was one of those situations where I was like, man, embrace this.
Yeah,
You're getting
right.
paid to be here right now to ride your kid's bike.
Right. Right. See, but like the other thing to that point, I guess, like kind of segueing in a different direction, like being able to accept constructive criticism. Like I think criticism holds so much value,
Big time.
and like especially negative criticism.
Mm-hmm.
Like give me some of that. Give me some negative feedback, because it's
Big
like,
time.
oh, okay, like I didn't have that perspective. I didn't have that. And again, like I said, it keeps coming back to sports where, you say you're working with a coach and they're doing video stuff, and it's like, hey man, like you're not doing great at X.
Yep.
And they show you why. And it's like taking that in a positive way, you grow. You become you work on it, and you get better. So I think negative feedback is probably more valuable than positive feedback. I mean, obviously we love positive feedback, but
Yeah.
I think again that goes back to mindset, taking a negative thing and making it a positive thing.
Big time, dude. I agree 1,000%. And I'm glad you said that, because not to keep referencing Duke, I know we just did his episode, so it's fresh on the mind. It's really easy to reference him. That's a huge thing for him in his business. Even seeing how he works and how he operates his business, he actually really enjoys bad reviews.
Oh, dude, yeah.
He gets them and kind of mentions, hey guys, everyone will be bummed, like low morale. And then he mentions, hey, no, this is awesome. This is what we need. This is how we are going to grow as a team.
Mindset, dude.
Yeah, it's a beautiful thing. And I don't know if I mentioned it in his episode, but the way he operates, the way he turned his entire life around, the way his mind works is just so inspiring to me. So, yeah, it's cool. So referencing that point, or to go back to, constructive criticism or maybe even negative criticism, how would you reframe setbacks as opportunities for growth? Maybe like something bad happening on ice one day,
Yeah.
or something bad happening snowboarding, which you've been pretty lucky, Mr. Pro Snowboarder, after 5 days.
I mean, I feel like just snowboarding in general, like I've been pretty lucky. It's been a learning process, which is fun.
Sure.
I love the learning process, but yeah, definitely setbacks and so many things, but taking it again, like you said, as an opportunity, and just kind of taking that mindset of like, instead of a setback being this like devastating thing, it's like, oh no, like I have a setback, this is terrible.
Yeah.
And of course, again, going back to like feeling your feelings, like it's okay to feel like devastated by it.
Yeah.
Allow yourself the opportunity to feel that, but also like taking it as an opportunity, attack it from a different perspective.
For sure.
Hit that positive mindset, throw a smile on your face, take a deep breath, and look at the opportunity that's in front of you to like learn and grow. And especially like something new. I mean, even what we're doing right now, like we've come a long way just to this point right now. And just personally, even sitting in front of a camera, sitting in front of a microphone, not a chance. Like 3 years ago,
Dude,
man, sitting in front of a camera, trying to record videos, I've had so many times where I've just packed up and left. I'm like, I'm not even doing this. I can't do it.
I've had the same thing.
But that was a learning experience. And, it just keeps going back to mindset. Like, take that as a learning experience. Take a mental note. This is what happened. This is what I can do to improve. This is kind of how I feel about the whole thing. And let's turn a positive spin to it. Control those controllables. Control that attitude. Control that mood, and just keep chucking away.
Did YouTube is making YouTube videos and doing the whole YouTube thing with the goalie space? Is that something that took you a while to kind of adapt to or get comfortable with?
Oh, absolutely.
/ are you still getting comfortable with it?
Oh man, it's such a process. I mean, we just took that trip to Dallas, and I just finished the vlog for that trip, and the fact that I'm even making vlogs, like the idea of doing that was like such a terrifying idea.
Dude.
And I would like talk it down like, nah, that's stupid. I don't want to do that. But after our Europe trip and seeing the vlogs that you made, I'm like, oh, it's a great way to document a moment and everything like that. And there's so many great things that can come from it. But again, like I've come such a long way to the place where I'm at now. And it's like, there's still a lot to go, which is kind of fun and exciting too. And there's just like so much to learn and grow from. So like, I've been loving it.
It's the best. What is so I guess snowboarding may be that for you, but do you enjoy being new at something?
There's not a lot of things that I've been super new to, because especially in the past, like if it's something that I'm not good at, like golf, I've swung a club maybe twice.
Oh, you mean one of these?
Oh, one of those bad boys. Yeah, I mean, like even just looking at a golf club, it's foreign to me. I didn't grow up with golf at all, and there's interest there because I know you've mentioned this at some point. Golf is big in Nashville, and I have so many friends that are like, "Hey, let's go play golf," and I'm like, "I'm sorry, I've never played before." And I know when we were in Dallas, you're like, "Hey, let's go play golf." I'm gonna be honest, I was nervous.
Freak yeah.
There was a moment where I was like, we're really about to go play golf right now, and I have no idea what I'm doing. But it was at the same time, it was like, actually, this is a great opportunity to just go swing some clubs around, have fun with my friends, and gain a new experience. And maybe even like I'm decent at it.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I've talked to my dad about this before. He's like, you probably have a natural swing. I'm like, Dad, like I'm thank you for like the positive like reinforcement there, but like I don't know.
It's so hard. It's so difficult. It's kind of like it's kind of like surfing, honestly, a little bit. It's just the hardest thing ever.
So
and you think you've got it figured out, and you don't.
You don't.
Unless you're like pro.
Dude,
they probably don't even.
I totally forgot. There's so many lessons to learn from surfing, but I did take a surfing lesson with my buddy Alan, who lives in Brooklyn.
Yep.
Who you met before we went to Europe.
For sure.
And we took surf lessons up, I forget what part of New York we went. But anyways, surfing instructor, super cool dude. And we're just sitting there, we're in the water, waiting on some waves to come. And I'm like, oh, should I be like more proactive and just like find the right spot? And he's like, hey man, you just gotta let the wave choose you. And I was like, that's fucking hilarious, but it resonated so much.
The way he said it was probably perfect too.
Oh, it was incredible. Let the wave choose you, dude. Oh. And I'm like, dude, you just said something that was so impactful, and it's true. Like you can't like force things sometimes. You just kind of have to like let it happen, and if it happens, sweet. If the wave didn't choose you that time, it's all right. There's more waves.
Yeah, man. I personally, when it's stuff I'm legitimately like deeply interested in, and it's my soul kind of that's interested in, like surfing, or even lately I haven't done it yet. So check back in a few vlog or whatever this is podcast. And I really, really want to try boxing, and I have for years.
Oh yeah, you were saying
but
that.
it's like, it's not even like, oh, I just want to try it. It's like I've been so interested in it for so long, and I haven't. But I guess, you know, to reference something I have been new at, it would be golfing, it would be surfing, it would be, I don't know, there's been a million things. Hockey, trying that.
Been on the ice a few times now.
Yeah, but I get so excited, and I think I just reached that. I think I was telling one of my buddies, I think I reached that point of like 50-year-old dad with certain parts of my life where I genuinely don't care about what anyone thinks.
Oh, such a good thing.
You know, which is like, it's very liberating.
Oh yeah.
There's certain things.
I'm still getting there too, honestly. Like,
yeah, there's certain things I definitely am like, still in my shell on. But there's also certain things where I'm like, I don't give a hell what anyone thinks.
Being vulnerable, dude, just being out there and being vulnerable.
Yeah, and just accepting it. You know, I think golf is a perfect example of that, because there's so many cool public courses here in Nashville. And the public courses are, people wear t-shirts, people wear cut off jeans, which I love because I'm about to break mine out. Dude. Yeah, I'm about to break mine out for the summer. But no, people wear anything. It's all skill levels. It's not, you know, private course, invite only, whatever. Yeah, right. No one cares. So I think that's part of why I've enjoyed that sport so much. But being new at something, like doing something for the first time, is sometimes a drug. It truly is sometimes a drug.
Yeah. Okay. Well, like going back to snowboarding. And I know I've talked about this before, where like, I've done longboarding before. I've gone down some hills and kind of carved side to side and whatever. And, I've done a little bit of surfing. So getting into snowboarding, it was a very new experiences, but I had all these other experiences that kind of connected dots. Yeah. Like there was pieces of surfing and pieces of longboarding and pieces
other skills you could pull from.
Yes. Even some hockey stuff. It was like, kind of pulling from all these different things, and just that feeling of like connecting dots and like picking up a new skill. It's like you said, very addicting.
It's so fun, man. And
Bro, sheesh. Dude, speaking of boxing, my dad got me boxing lessons right before I moved out here to Nashville.
Really?
I was still in San Diego, and I want to say it was like some firefighter dude that he knew or something like that. But I remember going to a Gold's Gym, tiny little scrawny 8-year-old, 9, 10-year-old
shit.
Dustin. And just like, all right, we're doing some boxing stuff. And
Yeah,
it was
yeah.
fun, dude. Like, you should absolutely get into like some boxing
I
stuff.
need to do that. I need to do that. But yeah, if it's something you're genuinely interested in your soul, something that speaks to you, it's that much better. I think when you finally stand up on a surfboard for the first time and you've been wanting to for years.
Yeah. I mean, same thing for skiing, like,
Yep.
you know, or snowboarding even. But it's
100%.
like, you know, getting out there and doing it. And like, you get that one moment that hooks you. And I've heard this about golf so many times. And like going to a driving range a couple of times, I've kind of felt it too, where like you hit a ball, you make good contact, and you like get a hold of it.
Yeah.
And it's like, whoa, this is my personality.
Yep.
This is it.
I'm from the South now, for real.
Right.
Oh man, I love that. Yeah, it's interesting, man. And I think a lot of things for us can be, I don't want to say easy to say, because I don't know, we've always wrestled with ideas in sports, right? And in the moment, you don't think about things outside of their immediate, what you're going to get out of it immediately.
Yeah.
So when you're in the rink, it's like, okay, this movement is going to do this.
Yes.
And you try it, and that movement does that. But it's easy for us to like back reference certain points or certain lessons we learned within bike riding or hockey, or I played basketball when I was little. I loved soccer. You played basketball, so on. It's easy for us to be like, everything references back to sports.
Yep.
But for people who don't have sports, kind of sharing our journey, I just hope that someone gets something out of it.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, I kind of thought about that just being interesting, and I don't know. It's interesting when you don't have that background or you don't have those lessons, I guess is all I'm trying to say.
Oh yeah, and like I will say, just growing up and having all the opportunities I've had, like very fortunate, very privileged.
Yep.
Not a lot of people have the opportunity to grow up playing sports. Not a lot of people have the
sure.
opportunity even just to play hockey or, you know, go snowboarding, you know,
100%.
especially at a young age. So very fortunate, very privileged. But that's not to say that, you know, someone who didn't grow up with a sports background or, you know, action sports background or whatever doesn't have their own set of skills that they can apply to like other things and learning new things.
For sure.
And just become an ultimate badass of a human.
For sure. Yeah. No, I definitely think everyone has their own mechanisms or whatever of figuring that stuff out. I'm trying, like, it's an interesting thought, like how you could, I don't know what I'm even trying to say.
I feel like there's a lot of overlap too with just mindset in general.
Yeah.
To kind of bring it back to the whole mindset topic, like, you know, it's not just about sports. It's not stuff that you've learned through, you know, playing whatever sport or whatever.
Of course.
There's so many life lessons that you can learn throughout life that can be applied to mindset.
1,000%. Yeah. It's just, I guess I'm trying to pull myself out of that. You know, I'm trying to think like, I don't even know.
Trying to think outside of
like
what
we
you
only
grew
have
up
that
on.
is all I'm saying.
Right.
Like we only have that
Oh yeah, and I
perspective.
obviously lean on it very hard.
Yeah,
That's been such
me
a
too.
huge part of my life.
Yep, same here. So I'm just like trying to think of how someone else would like what lessons other people have learned, or
We're just gonna have to talk to other people.
Yeah, we're gonna have to do the KIFCAST and all over the place, meet some rad people.
I mean, like
do
just
some rad things.
dude, just throwing something completely out of there. Like Jenna, be like, vulnerability is cool.
Yep.
Like such a cool brand, but
Yep.
like just that phrase and vulnerability is cool, and it should be more out there.
Yeah, for sure. What she's doing is awesome, man.
Yeah.
I love it. I love that she posts all the stuff she posts. I hope she does more events soon. I hope we get to get her on the
It would be
KIFCAST.
great to have her on the pod.
Jenna,
what
if
are
you're
you doing?
listening. Everyone's like, who the hell is Jenna?
Who is Jenna?
Well, let us tell you about Jenna sometime.
Oh, baby boy, that's the story.
Okay, so what about, I have this as another note.
I'm so glad you have notes. Like I'm glad that I just get to be here and like hang out, and you're the one who's organized.
You got notes on there.
I
You put
some
them.
things in there. I took a couple whatevers.
So another note that I have is about acts of kindness, gratitude practices, positive affirmations, and how they create a ripple effect, which in turn nurtures our own well-being. Do you practice gratitude?
Love. Yeah.
How do you practice gratitude?
I try to. And that kind of goes into like allowing myself to feel certain things. Like if I do something good, I allow myself to like, I did good. Like show yourself some gratitude. But the same thing with like other people around you too. Like it's good to be like, when someone says, hey, you did a good job, that feels nice. So it's also nice to like tell people too, like, hey, like I recognize you for what you just did. That's awesome. And I'm gonna let you know.
Do you take compliments like that? Do you accept them well?
That's another thing I've been having to learn. It's like, and it goes back to, I know we briefly touched on imposter syndrome when we talked to Duke, but like when people do give compliments for certain things, it's like, did you really mean that?
Are you sure?
Come on. Nah, you probably don't mean that. It's like, no, they're giving you a compliment. They're telling you, you like, again, allow yourself to like accept that compliment and like, yeah.
That's a whole journey of its own.
It really is.
Accepting compliments. What about acts of kindness, positive affirmations? To reference all of these notes, what about those things?
Dude, acts of kindness, like, obviously, like, kind of touches into the whole love language thing.
For sure.
Some people, it just kind of comes naturally. And I didn't think I was a big acts of kindness person until we went to Europe. I don't even know if I told you about this whole thing, but like I caught myself just like, let me adjust my microphone for this a second. No, but like I kept catching myself just like doing things for you and Ryan. And I'm like, why am I just like taking care of their plates for them? Why am I making sure that they have like an extra towel? Why am I making sure like whatever, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, oh, because like these are my friends and I want to take care of them. And I was like, so this is acts of kindness. This is crazy. Like,
that's awesome.
Like I didn't even realize it was happening until I forget what the situation was. I kind of caught myself doing it. I'm like, what am I doing?
I didn't know that either.
Yeah, I didn't either.
Took care of our plates.
Yeah.
We didn't even eat anywhere.
We never ate once in Europe.
We didn't even eat at the Airbnb.
See, but again, I keep referencing my dad a lot too, but this is another thing that he taught me, especially at a young age. He worked in the restaurant industry, and he taught me how to bus a table at a very young age. And so, like, when I go out to eat, I stack my plates, I pack everything up so that the server has an easier job. And I just kind of like slip into that mode where I'm like, I'm going to take your plate, stack it on mine. But also it's like, I'm kind of doing something for you too. Or even it's like, go somewhere, go to a coffee shop, grab you a little cup of water because odds are you're going to want a little cup of water. So yeah, acts of kindness, like.
Yeah, big time.
I mean, is that like a big thing for you too?
I think so.
Actually, yeah, it 100% is. I know who you are. Yes.
I think sometimes with certain things, certain situations, definitely. I guess I've never really thought about that one. I kind of just wrote it down because it was an exciting buzzword that went along
this sounds cool. I'll write it down.
That went along with the rest of the ideas. But gratitude practices for sure is something, again, another lifelong journey that goes along with, to reference it all back, to circle everything back that I mentioned in my whatever blabber of an episode that I've had today. Gratitude practices, I think, are huge, and I'm not consistent with them. I'm not perfect at them by any means, but there's certain things that I like to try to do, even if it's before bed, even if it's like when I'm visiting family, if it's when I'm with my friends. There's certain moments where I try to, even if I just internalize it, like so grateful for this moment, or before I go to bed, say 3 things I'm grateful for, or, different things, but also showing that in different ways, which I guess could kind of work in the acts of kindness realm, if you will. And then positive affirmations. I mean, dude, that kind of goes back to the accepting compliments from people to some degree. There's like this weird, it's just hard sometimes, but it's a journey.
Dude, like being grateful for the things that you have, being grateful for the place that you're in, like it's huge. And like just taking that moment like that you have where you're like, what are 3 things that I'm grateful for?
Yep.
How many people do you know do that? Like, I don't know anybody personally because obviously not a lot of people talk about that. But like, just taking that moment to being grateful for what you have, like that's so huge, and it creates that positive mindset of like things are good.
Yeah, dude.
We are all right.
Even like waking up early on your own accord, like waking up early, your feet touch the floor, and it's like you're trying to legitimately. It's almost like I don't want to dive too deep into this because that's a whole nother world, but it's almost like a religious thing, right? Is being like, yo, when my feet touch the floor in the morning, I'm going to say something. I'm going to say 3 things that I'm grateful for, or at least, say in my head or however that goes. But, I woke up at 5 this morning and the sun's shining and the birds are, or maybe the sun's not shining at 5. I woke up at 5 this morning and I get to go work, and I get to wake up on my own schedule, and I get to do this,
you get to today.
Yeah,
and I get to have a today.
I get to wake up. I got to wake up, eat whatever food I wanted, be healthy, go run 10 miles if I want to because my body is in good shape. I'm young. I'm able. Like, there's so many things every single day. And I think that is how I try to manage my positive mindset.
Dude, that's huge. I love that.
I think it's just one of those things. Well, gratitude also, I think, is how I finally was able to be like, the podcast is happening. We're doing this.
See, that's so sick. And it like manifested into something physically. But I think that can also like go back to the phrase, you don't know what you have until it's gone.
For sure.
You don't take that moment to be grateful for what you have. And then all of a sudden it's gone. And you realize like, oh, I had such a good thing. And I think, having playing hockey for so long and like having my own kind of journey with my hip issues. Mm-hmm. And it's like, I didn't realize how much walking I did and how like, oh, I enjoy walking until it's like walking became painful at some point. And it was like, oh man, I can't walk like I used to. Now it's gone. But now it's like, I've done what I needed to get my hip healthy. And it's like, I'm grateful that I can go for a long walk. Like when I go for walks and it's like, oh, my hip isn't screaming right now. I'm like, this is nice.
Yeah. Freak yeah.
Something as simple as walking.
Yeah. You really don't realize how much that sucks until you get an injury, huh? Hip injury or your knee, blow your knee out or something. Yep. You're like, I'm not going to go to the doctor. I'm fine. Right. That's like what you do with bike riding, right? Because you just want to keep riding. You had to figure stuff out. You wanted to finish out summer.
Oh yeah.
Whatever it was. But so that's just a gratitude practice and how it can help with, I don't want to say help, gratitude practice and how I feel it, flows through my life.
Yeah.
But
that's huge. I love it.
It's fun, man. Fun? I don't know.
It's cool. It sounds fun. It sounds fun when you make it fun.
It's just cool to wake up and be excited instead of wake up and go, fuck, another day doing X. Yeah, I've had those too.
Yeah, of course. I mean, that's planting that seed too. Like, waking up and being excited about having the opportunity to today, whatever today brings, as opposed to like, and I don't know, that goes back to that whole mindset of like, oh, the world's out to get me, or like, oh, only bad things happen to me, and you manifest that.
Yeah, that's, I mean,
kind of goes back to the fake it till you make it. You throw a smile on your face and releases that dopamine release. Yep. You start throwing all this negativity, like, oh, today's going to suck. Guess what? Today's going to suck. Whatever you tell your brain is going to believe it.
Yeah, I agree completely. And that's not to, take away from anyone's hard times. We all have issues. People have bad days. People are sick. People lose people. But
living ain't easy.
Yeah, for sure. But, in your general day-to-day, if you have a job that isn't so bad and you get to wake up and you get to go do that and you get to support your family or whatever it is, I think it's just important to know that the world is pretty fucking rad, and the stuff we get to do outside of the stuff we have to do is pretty damn awesome.
Yeah.
There's a lot of cool shit going on.
I mean, dude, just the mindset of flipping it into I get to.
Yeah.
I have the opportunity to.
Yep.
Instead of, the opposite. And it's, did the camera just die?
I don't really know where your train of thought was going because the camera overheated and we had to restart. Not restart, but we had to take a pause.
Yeah, we had to take a pause. The train has been derailed.
The train has departed your brain and you no longer have that thought, huh?
It's gone.
Frick, I hate when that happens.
Gone.
Anyways, we can kind of start wrapping this thing up, but I don't know that I said anything valuable this episode. Yes, yet. Oh, dude, I can't English today. I
Like a full hour of valuable information.
No. I rambled the first
In
few
your own
minutes and went
language.
in my own language. Exactly. I spoke cursive the first half, dude. I spoke cursive.
Oh no.
But anyways, yeah, I really love these conversations, man, and I value them a lot. And I think it's super cool, listening to Duke, listening to Kaz. It's cool to get different perspectives of these things.
Oh yeah.
Obviously, you coming from sports, me coming from sports, we can, I feel like, relate to those things maybe better.
Yeah. Right.
But it's exciting, and it makes me really jazzed to have more of these experiences with new people from different backgrounds.
From all over, yeah.
Yeah, and like I said, if it is a freaking dude who grew up and just went to school, went to college, got a sick job.
Yeah.
If that's their path,
Oh yeah.
I'm so excited for that. Entrepreneurs, musicians. I have a lot of musician friends who maybe never played sports growing up. So
Dude,
again, that's our perspective. So that's all I know.
Right.
So I'm really jazzed. And I think, I know I've said it a million times on this thing already, but human experiences, just getting more of those.
Being able to human with other humans.
It's freaking rad.
It's pretty rad. And yeah, it's cool that we're able to do all this stuff on here.
Yeah. It's super rad.
I hope just this episode inspires someone to maybe take a deep breath, smile for a second,
Yeah.
and just keep on trucking, baby.
Keep on keeping on. Yeah. Hope if you've made it this far on this episode, you've gotten something out of this mindset episode. If you have some ideas, again, I know I mentioned it at the beginning of the episode, drop a comment on Spotify, on YouTube, whatever it is. Let us know if you have a cool topic or if there's something you want us to dive into deeper, because I enjoy this shit.
I love this. I love this topic in general. And, I'm sure there's plenty of stuff that we didn't touch on, and there's a lot of stuff that we can probably talk forever about this kind of stuff. But yeah, anything that would also be great to touch on, here for it.
Yeah, for sure. Is there anything else you want to touch on for mindsets?
Nah.
You're more than, dude, we can keep this train rolling through the night, dude. We'll go 6 hours. World's longest podcast.
6 hours? Do you think you guys want to listen to a 6-hour podcast?
They do if it's us.
Talk for that long?
The world's greatest.
Me talk that long.
Oh, you know what? Actually,
what is this? You just pulled this book off the shelf?
Yep, that's the book.
The Secret.
This is about the law of attraction. This was the first book I ever read about this. My cousin recommended it. She is a yogi, and she's very interested in that stuff.
Dude, I didn't even know you had that.
It's a beautiful book.
Been sitting right there the whole time.
Yeah, I was like, I forgot I put it up there, even though I did it yesterday. But actually, I just kind of grabbed a few books out of my thing. But I was like, that's a gold book. I think I know that one. The Secret.
It's literally about the law of attraction.
The Secret. Yeah, it's a little. Some people, could probably look at it as a little foo-foo or whatever. But
of course,
it is a super dope book, and it at least helps you understand the concept of it. It at least is a good entry to the concept of the law of attraction and how things can, how you can manifest things, which, again, that word and putting that out there, it's so overused and can come off kind of foo-foo-y.
Yeah, of course.
But I think that's the way, man.
I think it's a very real thing. Planting those seeds.
Duke, thank you for the inspiration to do this episode.
Thanks for manifesting this episode.
Yeah, we had a lot of fun doing the episode with Duke, and it was definitely good to reignite the fire of wanting to do something about mindsets.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, cool that we can come just sit here in the... are we going to call it KIFCAST Studio?
What do you want to call it?
I don't want to keep bringing up the jingle because it's not even a thing. But I do like the ring of KIFCAST Studio.
The KIFCAST Studio. I think it's fine. KIFCAST Conversations in the KIFCAST Studio.
KIFCAST, the KIFCAST.
KIFCAST Conversations in the KIFCAST Studio.
Whoa, dude. All right, we gotta go write a song, guys. We'll be right back. We have a whole song to write.
We're rambling now, but hey, seriously, thank you so much. If you have listened this far, we are super jazzed on continuing this train and chatting. It honestly just gives us an excuse to be homies and bullshit, and
Yeah, which is fun.
it's so fun. And now we have this space. So like, comment, subscribe, follow, do whatever you're supposed to do.
Just come back next week.
In 2023. Come back next week and hang out with us.
We'll see you next week.
Just talk some crap to us.
Yeah, I love wrapping things up with we'll see you next time.
We'll see you next time. So love you so much. Thanks for hanging.